What are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now?
Halo Infinite, of course. I finally finished the campaign. Very satisfying. I won't spoil it. It's a great game. Absolutely loved it. And now I'm just, going through the map, checking off the little boxes, finding all the little trinkets to 100% it, but pretty much done with that game.
All the fucking power babies!
Gotta do it! And of course, still playing through the ranked multiplayer. I mean, it's a blast. It's my 15 minutes at a time kind of game. But after that, man, Space Invaders Infinity Gene is what you see behind me, the screenshot. I mean, we're talking Space Invaders, man. Like, this was an Xbox
Is that
game.
actually a gameplay screenshot, or is that like a title thing there?
Yeah, no, this is a gameplay screenshot. And yeah, man, this is a Xbox Games with Gold free game. And I saw it, and of course, I loved playing Space Invaders as a kid on my Atari 2600. My mom would play with me. My aunt, who passed away, she would play with me. So for me, it's one of the earliest and fondest gaming memories. And, as somebody who completely missed the Xbox 360 generation, why not snag it for free, And it's fun, man. Like, it starts out very basic, like you would kind of expect Space Invaders to be. But the basic, it keeps that basic look, but then it expands. Like, you're able to get more powers, like the enemies come at you. Like, it's done in a very fun way, and it works. It's awesome. I'm loving it.
Cool. That's very cool. Yeah, that's one of the good ones for sure. That's one of the. I would play the shit out of that on Atari, just like, without all those bells and whistles, of course, and not think twice about it for sure. It's a great game.
Yeah. And then next, Beat Saber. I've had it for a while, of course, but I bought it for Courtney's Oculus as well. And so she hasn't gotten into it, but Zion has. So me and her play the multiplayer. And so it's really cool. Like, we're playing next to each other, but at the same time, like, within the game, she's kind of like diagonal from me, so I can see her and she can see me. And I don't know, it's just really fun. We're jamming. It's Beat Saber. Like, what can I say? You're playing it with a friend.
Still haven't played it, but I know.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it these days. What about you? What are you jamming on?
I got a nice little list this time around. The first thing I would bring up is Waltz of the Wizard. I think I was talking about just downloading it.
Yeah.
For our last game up, and I don't even know how to talk about this game, dude. It's mind-blowingly innovative. Like, just trying to the idea, like, explaining it is exhausting of an idea. I'm not trying to do it. The idea of explaining it kind of tires me out a little bit. It's like
it looked cool though. The screenshot.
Yeah, there's so much you can do. There's so many spell mechanics that like involve you're manipulating items in your environment, and there's hand controller motion stuff, and there's even speech things like
So you're really involved, like you're actually physically doing all this. That's great. That sounds great, man.
It's so fucking cool of an idea. It's amazing, dude. Yeah, there was like one of the most recent things I learned going into one of the levels. You have to get, there's this motion where you like kind of just like you conjure your power, you kind of like pull the environment to you, and then it conjures energy in between your hands, and there's a lot of, that's kind of like a step one thing, and there's a lot of things you can do from that. You can change it into lightning by doing a rubbing motion, and then you get a couple lightning shots you can throw, or you can kind of do this. I don't even like, that's the thing, I've played it quite a bit, and like there's things I still don't, because it's not an exact thing, like there's a little bit of just kind of human error and just, I don't know, fluidity to it, where like I don't know exactly how to do some of the stuff I'm doing. I'm just kind of like in the vicinity of, which I don't know, maybe you could construe as frustration, like control frustration or control issues, but it because of what it feels right even when it's wrong, because of, I don't know, just the way the whole thing flows. But anyways, yeah, there's another thing you can do where you can kind of like, I don't know, you like kind of compress it a little bit or something, and it turns into this magnetic energy that will like, because a lot of the enemies are mechanical. that you encounter. So like it's like this magnetic energy that you can throw at them, and it like just fucking causes chaos in there for them, and they fucking fly around and smash into each other and shit. It's fucking amazing. So whatever. So there's you can start that, and then but there's one I just learned where you do that. You start you get the energy in your hands, and then you yell in, like you literally hold it up to your mouth like real life, in front of and you yell into it, and it creates this sonic attack, the sonic sound attack. It's yeah, again, it's just so innovative and such a cool idea and so fucking amazing. But it is a lot, dude. Like my fucking arms, I think I told you guys in the group chat, like my fucking arms get tired. Like I feel drained, physically drained sometimes if we're playing for just, 20, 30 minutes in the main game where you're really hustling to deal with environmental dangers and stuff. So yeah, it's not like, I don't know if you could fucking play it for like really long periods of time. No, and honestly, when I get to the rest of this, like, I don't know if I'd want to either, because like as great as it is, as innovative as it is, it's not finished. It's not it's not a polished product yet, unfortunately. But ton of going on, and it's fucking absolutely beautiful. Like I posted that one video I think I sent to you guys, like the red sky where I was outside. It's looks fucking great. Really well done world that it all happens in.
Have you seen the show Magicians?
I have not.
So it's basically like I used to think of it as like real life, if it happened in America, Harry Potter. Like there's a school and people are learning spells, but like you have to be magically adept to even get invited to know that this school exists. You know what I mean? But so it's this huge, I don't know, 6-season thing. I highly recommend it. But the whole thing is
it's a scripted.
Yeah, scripted. Okay. Scripted series, like very, very good, and it's dark. Whereas like Harry Potter is like has some dark moments. This is like much more like, hey, shit's happened, drug dealers happen, and like magic. It's great. But the whole thing about it is everything is hand motions. Like, so when they're practicing magic, like nobody's using wands like Harry Potter. It's like, it's all like hand stuff. And it reminds me of what you're doing in that game when you send me the video. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like the Magicians. Like you gotta do certain hand motions and like things to make the spell work, and people were, the students were getting frustrated learning them, trying to do this hard stuff, and it was, difficult. And so when you showed me that, I'm like, dude, I'm in. I think I need to buy that game because it reminds me of that.
It's funny. Again, I just don't even know how to describe some of it. It's like, it is so, it's so pinpoint exact at times, I guess. Not always. It's not, not fucking impossible. But it is like, just moving your hand freely with no friction and like in a totally real way is a very inexact human behavior, and replicating it on demand, in repetition, in stressful situations is not fucking easy, man. And like you'd think it would be, but it's not. And it's funny how, I don't know, just kind of the human error element of it and how much you have to do to make this stuff happen in game is funny. It's a funny.
So basically, you cannot be a magician or a wizard in real life.
Probably not. I mean, I need more practice. Everything, practice makes perfect, Jay. But yeah, so okay, so like that's that's a very general explanation of it. So there's two parts to the game. Like you start the game and you're outside in this kind of black void. A wooded space, but it's still kind of a black void deal. And there's like a bulletin board where they kind of put like, it's like they do it in the world of the game, but it's kind of just like development things and new features of the game, yada yada yada. And then there's two doors. One goes to the tower, the wizard tower. One goes to the courtyard, and the courtyard is where kind of you go into like the level by level part of the normal game, and then when it starts up, there's like a little what I equate it to Navi, like the fairy in Zelda. It's kind of like your little helper that will appear sometimes. He appears. It's just a skull, a human skull head that is animated. Oh. And he talks to you and kind of explains whatever, some new shit, maybe suggests something maybe you haven't done, or maybe in the algorithm you're not doing behavior-wise, whatever. He says some shit, tells you where you can go. He appears. So you can go into one of these two doors, and the wizard tower is I would equate it to a sandbox where you can kind of just play and get acclimated with spellcasting and game mechanics. There's little challenges that can be done up there that you can you have to find them and kind of discover them within the environment. And this, like I said, it all happens in one relatively small room. But there's so much stuff in there. There's so many just gadgets and fucking things, whatever. So much shit going on. So you can go in there and you do these little. There's a few things you can find that take you out of that space too, and I guess do take you to somewhat of like a little mini quest thing where you're kind of learning something to a degree. But you can do all this stuff, and that is like a really built out thing that I'm guessing probably. I don't know. Well, that's a dumb conjecture. Who cares? I was going to say that probably was developed before the main game, but it doesn't matter. So it's really built out, and there's all these things you can learn there, and there's like a visual reference to help you kind of root it and retain what it is, and teach you, essentially. That's what it is. A teaching tool is really what this place is for. And the big problem is when you it even calls them two different kinds of magic. One's like the tower magic is called something, and then the stuff out in the world is called natural magic, and there's things you can't do. It's not like the voice recognition stuff. That's what I mean when they say you can see developmental things within the game, fabric of the game, They tell you like you can't, natural magic is not as dependent on the voice recognition or voice stuff. So, but like I said, there is a voice thing in the game now, so maybe that's like something they've just, I don't know, I have no idea. But it is
so in the early stages of working it out, kind of like they're not.
Yeah, it's that. Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I was just, and I found this out by looking up another game that I got into here. Like, I think this has been out since the fucking thing dropped. Like, it's been out for a long time. So, but I mean, it is, it's not like it's dead. Like, things are still being updated. Like, it's changed since I got it. Okay. So, nice. They're still working on it. So it's not a dead stick, but it is, it's not done. I'm sure it's a small team, whatever. But there's no question deficiencies. But yeah, there's not a ton of carryover with what you learn in that tower and then actually playing the game. And that is a very frustrating thing. It gets a little frustrating because not all that functionality exists in the game, and that is kind of, it's rough. It's an annoying thing because what it creates is all this shit. Like I said, I don't even know within the confines of what is a much more limited control set and spell set in the level by level dungeon part. Like I have a hard time retaining even all that information. And then I've learned all this stuff, and I can practice all this stuff in the Wizard Tower that has no carryover for the most part. So like it's just a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit jumping around your head that like just doesn't feel good when you're actually playing the level by level part of the game. So yeah. So the other part is the courtyard area. You go out. There's like a teleportation ring out there that takes you into level by level dungeon crawl kind of thing. There's enemies. It's like very FPS type gameplay style.
That makes me much less excited about it. Like.
It's still good, and I mean, there's like I said, it's just there's the thing. Like maybe the hardest part about it is if the tower didn't exist, and then you just had the level by level part of the game, I think you wouldn't even think about. You'd be happy with what you have, So it's dumb that there's a cool, enjoyable part of the game that does exist. They've spent all this time on that is fun. That somehow creates, a dissatisfaction in you. It's a fucked up thing, I guess. Emotional response to what should just be two cool things, But yeah, I mean, it's only. I think I'm pretty sure it's only $20 too, so it's well worth the money, and it's really fucking interesting and fun. I look forward to a really completed product because I think once all that stuff you can do in the tower. To some degree or another exists in the game. And like, I get part of it too. Like some of the stuff you can do in the tower, if you could do it any time in the fucking main game, it would break the game. It wouldn't be any fun, because you can do some crazy shit. You can get giant. You can go you can go turn yourself into a little tiny fucking thing and everything looks huge, There's crazy ass projectile stuff that you can do, There's a whole bunch of really cool things. And that's the thing too. Like that's where they justified that some of the stuff requires these physical items that you have to use and combine. Like there's this in the tower. There's this, I don't know, a bowl or whatever you would call, and I'm fucking in the story world a bowl of like some magical juice, and like some of the spell casting requires you to toss different things that are on the table and stuff into that. There's also a xylophone that you play, so the music, there's like a musical rhythm component to this to some degree that I imagine will eventually be worked into the game, because they wouldn't have this there if you know, whatever. So those certain musical things will create certain responses in the environment. So yeah, there's just so much, you know, that I understand would be really hard to account for in just traditional dungeon by dungeon gameplay. So, you know, that's probably part of it too. It may be not entirely just a developmental shortcoming, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot there. It's really cool, really different, really interesting. Nothing like it I've played. It's fucking absolutely fun, and like just even, I mean, I think $20, the sandbox would be worth $20. Like the tower, I think would be, you could get people to pay for it and leave good reviews for $20, you know. So it's no question, especially as much as you like that kind of stuff. I think you would fucking have a blast in it for sure. But the level by level thing gets a little tiring. I can only play, like, I've had it for a while now, and I think I'm at level 5. And part of that's hard too. You die. Like I'll die enough where I'm like, fuck this. I can't even fucking try that again. That's too frustrating. I got too far. You know? So there's like that natural gameplay difficulty response too. But sometimes it's just like, it's like I just can't even think of what the hell. I just don't want to think about what I got to do to beat this.
Right.
So yeah, so really fucking cool thing. Played a bunch of that. Next thing.
Wait a minute. So you got that for $20. You just reminded me something that I got for $20 that I completely forgot about because it's been a while.
What's that?
Miles Morales SpiderMan, like on PS4.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever played this?
No, I told you you're never fucking gonna really fuck with it too much being on the PlayStation.
I completely forgot I bought it like at a super sale like during the holiday time. That game is great, man. Like
I hear those. I remember when that first came out. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Definitely a Spider-Man game. But I remember hearing that they had like people were really happy with. They nailed the whole thing about Spider-Man swinging through the buildings and shit.
Yeah,
that's
like
clearly
amazing.
Like that's what that game needs to be about. And I'd heard what I remember hearing was that it was the first time that someone's really nailed that, like the feeling you should have. I'm assuming the complete open world aspect of it, but still in a controlled enough way that you could control it, you know. And that would be really cool. I'm sure. That was one of the things, those Batman games on PS3. Arkham City and shit like that. That was one of the really cool things. Like they figured that out too, like a way to have these big sprawling urban environments with all this intricacy and detail, relatively speaking, and be done in a way that control wise was still enjoyable.
Yeah, and even the fighting though, man, it's like they really made Spider-Man's attacks so unique. Like when you play like Marvel's Avengers. Everybody has a different fighting style, but at a base level, it's still similar. Like, unless you're Iron Man and he's flying, but even still, some of the movements are the same. Whereas with Spider-Man, it's like he moves like you would expect Spider-Man to move, and just the story as well. Like, I'm loving it so far. I completely forgot about it because I don't play on my PS4 at all. Anymore. Like, why would I? But I forgot it was there, and something caused me to remember, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let me pick up that game," and I'm glad I did. But again, how often?
That's kind of the next thing I have. It's kind of that same idea, really. I was listening to the Kane and Rince pod, is a podcast let's do a bunch of, and they just did like 2 episodes back. They did Outer Wilds.
Okay. So
yeah, I started listening to it, and I only got a few minutes into it before I was like, "Oh yeah, that game is fucking incredible." And that's like, they're like, oh my, it's like I see what's gaming, they're talking it up, and then they start getting into it, and they're like, it's basically it's a spoiler podcast for sure, so like they started getting into it, and I was like, oh, I cannot spoil that, like I can't do it. So I turned the fucking, I didn't listen to the damn episode, but I was like, well, is that back out yet? So I checked and see, and checked to see, and it is on, it came back on a Game Pass in January. So I fired the Caveman game machine back up, and I've gotten back into it. And
nice.
It's it's a discovery game, and like I think, I don't know, maybe they even said it, I don't know, but it's the kind of thing where like I think back when it happened, when it went off Game Pass, I think I talked about this. I was like, it sucks because it's the kind of game that it's all knowledge based. Your entire progression flowchart in the game is all just learning shit. and it goes into your log in your computer. You know, like the game functions. It's a like a 20-minute loop or something. You know, you're in this time loop. So nothing you physically do means anything really. It's all about accumulating knowledge and figuring what's going on out. And fortuitously and conveniently for a video game, it stores that in your computer on your spaceship. So you know, you take a long break from that and you come back into it, and it's just like you have no idea. There's nothing.
Yeah, what was
even
that
even the information that you have available to you in that computer is kind of meaningless to you. It's all like without any sort of recall of like actually getting there. It's kind of fucking just a blank slate, you know. So it took some acclimation time, and I think I might even fired it up once and kind of looked around and like played for a few minutes, and I was like, I think I'm, you know, I can't, like it might have been before bed, and I was like, I can't be tired and trying to do this. This won't work. So I turned off. But yeah, I have been able to get back into it and get grooving after a couple of hours of just kind of jamming on it and getting familiar again. So it did take some startup cost, but I was able to get back into it. And I'll keep I'll keep bouncing in and out of it. I imagine it's not the kind of thing, again, like, you know, especially I'll sit here and play an entire game of Demio and then like, oh, it'd be nice to play a little before bed. But like, again, it's not the kind of game you can play tired. You got to be like sitting down with some fucking some
concentration,
some scoot in you to be able to fucking really take it on. So yeah, I imagine I'll bounce in and out of it, and hopefully I'd love to get there and finish it because it is such a great fucking game and just so beautiful and so fucking emotionally resonant. I mean, it's like, you know, almost to the tier of like Spiritfarer, of like the emotional effort, or put the effort put in towards emotional response. And like, again, the fact that it's that fucking company, Annapurna, that's not surprising that they have, you know, almost like a cinematic approach to the storytelling. But
nice,
really good. So yeah, hopefully I can finish it before they rip it off Game Pass, and this was a concern when I was first Googling it, my subscription on Game Pass ends, which I definitely won't renew. So
what? That's blasphemy. That is blasphemy.
I don't touch it. I don't touch the machine. There's no reason to pay for that. It's dumb. That was the thing. Like, I was like, it didn't even like, to me, Game Pass was like, it didn't even cross my mind. Like, it was like just part of the Xbox. Like, I forgot that it's a subscription. So like I look on Game Pass and I see it's there. I'm like, oh, great. And I go over to the machine and I fire it up and I turn it on. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Do I even have Game Pass anymore? I don't even know. I want to say it, but I'm pretty sure it was like, I don't know, at least Q2 last year that I did that renew. Because it was like, I think I got like a 3-month or a 6-month free or something when I bought it or some shit. So when I actually bought that year, yeah, it had to be later in the year, I'm hoping. So we'll see. But
wait,
that would be a bummer to have it ripped for me twice. So, okay, so there's that. And then I was also trolling the Oculus app, just like going through, what was it? Had I not gotten anything? Or I think I got like maybe tired of Waltz of the Wizard or something. So I was just like literally going through friends' achievements in the app to kind of like find something to play, basically. I was trying to find something to buy via that. So I'm going through the list, I'm not seeing anything. And then they also seed ads when you do that, which is clearly very smart of them, given what happens next. So I see an ad seeded in there, and I stumbled into this action puzzler. It's called Trover Saves the Universe, which I've probably seen before, but that's such like a meaningless. It's like that joke we had about you could order the words in any universe saved by like, you know, you could just do that with like just meaningless words. So I'm sure I've seen it before, probably, and especially since I would later learn that it's been on the system since the fucker launched. Also, this was like one of their launch titles, and so yeah, I see that, and I'm like, I noticed that, which is also good marketing by them. I noticed that it says that was created by Justin Roiland, who I know because I love the fucking show so much, is one of the guys that created Rick and Morty on Adult Swim and then Solar Opposites on Hulu. And these are two of the best and funniest and most brilliant adult comedy animated series going on these days. So if you're not watching those, change your life and fucking go do that. But dude, I wish this fucking guy made all my video games, man. It's so fucking good and so fucking hysterical. And they just encapsulated the brand of humor on those shows. Like, oh yeah, it's so fucking good. And like, yeah, I mean, if you watch those, like they're I don't know, man.
I actually don't watch either of those.
Those are so fucking good, dude. They're so good. They're so. It's like kind of like the reason I love BoJack so much. Like they explore adult themes so deeply and so intelligently within the confines of like kind of just a situational comedy styled show, you know, like if you were too dumb to grasp what was being said to you, you could view which is, you know, that's what you want to do actually, so you catch the idiots and the smart people with your show. You want to make something that on the surface is just like glitzy enough and funny enough and kind of dumb enough to fucking just be mindless entertainment, but if you're really paying attention, there's some shit going on beneath it, you know what I mean? And they do a great job in both cases with that, but on that accord, like the writing in the game is absolutely fucking phenomenal, and the voice acting is of course top shelf too. They have basic, I mean, I didn't even know this, but googling around about it, Justin Roiland does the voices for both the main characters, Morty and Rick, and a bunch of others as well. So he's kind of almost like Mike Judgy, and that he can kind of he creates these shows, and he has enough voice acting versatility to voice like a fucking half the fucking characters on it, you know, with different actually sounding things. Okay. South Park guys too, they do that too, I think. Anyways,
yeah, that's true.
There's this. It's you have to really be thinking about it to even fucking, and certainly have seen the shows to even know what I'm talking about. But there's this dialogue delivery cadence they have in both shows. It's in the game too, where there's this stammer and indecision to most everything that is said. Like all the dialogue delivery has kind of like this. It starts off giving the impression that they don't know what they're going to say, you know? And I don't know, I want to say it's a subtle thing, but like it's every line almost has it. So it's not subtle, but it's not distracting or gimmicky enough to not feel like it's not subtle. So it's really fucking cool and really fucking smart. And it's an amazing comedic device that makes me personally, I mean, I can't speak for all of humanity, but it makes almost anything funny. You know, just like this, it's this really well done little fucking dialogue delivery thing. It's in the game too. And if you drizzle on the fact that the writing is both emotionally intelligent and humorous, without that device, you have some atomically good comedy potential on your hands, I think, you know. So it's writing fucking really great. So all that said, I kind of expected the gameplay to be lacking because it's a licensed property. It's almost generic in its presentation. Trover saves the universe, and they're just like miscellaneous aliens and whatever, you know. It's just like, I don't know. I expected the gameplay to be not great, but it is fucking great. And like, so there's a complexity, like just the game design itself has like a layering to it that I've never seen before. Like your character who you control, they're called Chairlopians, and it's essentially a race of people that are kind of like exaggerated TV zombies who spend their lives confined to a chair and are what I perceive to be from the commentary, like, it's like laziness and ineptitude of the human race. It's like a play on that kind of, you know. Mm-hmm. And so you control, like, that is who you are. And then you are paired in the beginning with another character. They're called an eye hole monster. And the way it works is you get like a little video game controller and you take control of him out in the world. So you spend the whole game from this kind of stationary thing, and you control the character out in front of you. And there's all these chair teleportation stations throughout the stages. So you have to essentially run this guy you control, to the next teleportation station and teleport the Chairlopian to it. And then now you have a new vantage point on the world around you, and you're controlling the guy, and you work through the stages step by step that way, you know? And so, it's a really interesting thing. And at first, too, I think I might even, like, when I first started, I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, having this.
I'm like, that doesn't sound too fun.
No, dude, it's fucking great. It's so good. And then you get all these different things that change what you can do with the chair from that one position, changing your vantage points and manipulating the environment in different ways. And it's fucking great, dude. And so the character you control gets like a lightsaber essentially, and he becomes just like a melee tool to you, you know. So it has that type of gameplay that is just kind of, I don't know, everyone loves that, I guess, just fucking beating things up and killing them, you know.
Everyone loves a lightsaber. What do you mean? Come on.
that's in there. There's sword play if you're into sword play. I mean, it's just fucking, like, I could not put it down, dude. It's so, like, I laughed so much. Every piece of dialogue is just, like, there's just no they didn't just fucking mail it in on anything. Every single little like that screenshot I posted.
Respect.
So those are power babies. Those are like that's like the completionist dumb thing you have to collect is these power babies, right? Yeah. And every single one of them has a unique piece of copy that at least made me smile if I didn't laugh. You know, when you find them and you go to the menu and you can check every time you have to hit a button to open that menu to see the copy that they made for it. That's not said to you in the game. So every time I found a power baby, and there were 30 per level, I would go to that menu and see what that fucking piece of copy said because I expected it to be funny. And that's amazing that I wanted to do that for every single one of them.
That is impressive. I sometimes fast forward past that stuff. You got
exactly right. No, but it's they didn't mail anything in comedy wise, and it's like all the effort in the world is there to keep you laughing and enjoying this. If you like this kind of comedy, and it's fucking great, man. But yeah, that's my only gripe is that I finished it in a few fucking days. You know, I bought it Sunday night and I beat it late Tuesday night, and you know, so. Like I said, I didn't put it down. It's definitely worth it. I think it was $30, so it's it's kind of a high water mark on as far as the cost goes. But it's totally fucking worth it. Again, if you watch those shows, which like Rick and Morty is fucking, I think it's done now. Even I think it's totally done, maybe, but it's definitely not. There's not new episodes coming out. Solar Opposites is also on hiatus right now, or they finished their season. So if you want more of this content, you haven't played this game. Oh my god, yes, it's like you must own it, let alone should own it. But it is, right. It's a little short. I would guess, like, I'm terrible at estimating playtime, but I would say maybe between 12 and 15 hours as far as the time I put in, which isn't, for most of those games on the Oculus, is not bad, with the kind of the long form games. Getting 12 to 15 hours is not a bad value by any length, but it's not, if you play some of those fucking AAA titles, you're getting 60, 80, 100 hours, so it's nothing like that. But and that's not counting. So there's a little bit of completionist shit, those power babies left to go back and do, and I absolutely will do so. I've already started to, actually. So there was maybe, I don't know, 30% left of those to go after I finish the main game, so there's like a little bit of stuff that's a little extra effort to go back and get. So that's cool and fucking amazing, and absolutely get it if you're into that stuff or those shows. And the last thing I would say, just yesterday or maybe a few days ago, a new Walkabout mini golf course dropped, and it's called Sweetopia, and I would say the theming is absolutely Candyland. The board game Candyland is what it is. It's like all sweets and stuff, Is
it harder?
Of course, amazing
as usual.
There are some things that yes. I mean, I don't know. It's not, I don't know.
Like, should I not go into that course? Should I not play that course?
Well, I told you you should fucking max out. You should get all the balls and putters and stuff and play those the ones that come with it enough before you do so. Before you start getting these the three new ones: Babylon, Shangri-La, and now Sweetopia, because there's tons of content there, and those are, for the most part, generally speaking, certainly easier than these new ones. So I would absolutely get that value and experience before getting into these new ones. But I mean, the new ones are, there's no question that there's the newer ones, they put more, I don't know, more effort is, like, I don't want to undermine the effort that went into the first courses, or the first 6 or whatever it is, courses, 7, whatever it might be. But these are certainly, there's more to them. There's just more. So, but yeah, it's fucking great. I downloaded it yesterday, and I already before I went to bed last night had found all the balls, all 18 balls on the easy course, and the putter on the hard course, because I just can't stop when it comes to that shit. So the only thing I had to look up, so I didn't look up any of the balls, which made me feel pretty good, because there's still like a few balls on the last 2 that I haven't gotten yet. On Shangri-La and Babylon, there's balls I don't have yet, and I don't want to look them up, because I looked up a few balls to complete that first round of levels, because I just couldn't fucking find them, and I looked forever. And once I had gotten them all, and that was no longer an option to me, I was so sad. So, like, I will never look up another ball again. Like, however long it takes me to find it, like, great. The longer that stuff's there for me to do, the better. So, but yeah, I didn't have to look up any shit to find the balls. I had to look up one clue on the putter, clue number 9. I actually tweeted him about this. Clue number 9 was a bit of a bitch. There was like this thing, you had to, like, there's 4 cherries that can be seen in the map from like one particular vantage point, and I had found all 4 cherries, and like I went all over that map, where I could see all 4 of them, and I could not find the fucking arrow, find the little item you had to find. And I was just like, fuck. I spent probably 20 minutes on it, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, dinner's almost ready. I got to figure this out. So I looked that one clue up, but that was the only thing I had to do to find the putter, too. So pretty fucking cool. I recorded my first run through the easy course when I first fired it up, and you see all the ball hunting I did. I think I found 14 of them on that first time through, and I posted that. I got 2 hole-in-ones on my first time playing the course today. And that's nice. It's pretty fucking wild. I've played since, of course, and there is one hole of those 2 that I hole-in-one the first time that I have hole-in-one since, and it's probably somewhat replicable to be able to do that. Maybe not every time, but kind of close. So one of them is kind of, I think, a built-in possibility, but to have 2 of them in one time on the first time through is crazy. The other one
was impressive.
It was just a hole-in-one. So, yeah, I think that's not too fucking shabby.